Whenever creating a program in GMB, we use what we call the 5P framework. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Now I'm going to go over the 5 Ps, and then you can just follow along with the program and perform the routine. Now the first P is prep. In prep, you'll focus on particular mobility and some stretches that are going to help you to prepare you for the session. Now in practice, you use 2 movements at a level that's good for you. For example, the handstand and maybe even a bent arm movement. Let's say the push-up. So for example, you'll start off working on your handstand. Now, it's not a matter of trying to crank out as many repetitions as possible. You're looking at performing the handstand at a high level for you, but still at a level that you're capable of performing. Do that as beautifully as possible. Perform maybe just 1 attempt. Take a break. Then when you're good and ready, you'll perform 1 more. And do the same with your push-up. The focus is on form. And once again, performing this as beautifully as possible and doing it as well as possible. Now next up, we have play. Now play is looking at it in terms of exploration. So let's say, for example, this time you practice, in our case with the Parallettes, the jump through. This is a matter of trying to get comfortable with that particular movement. You don't do it at the highest level that you can perform. You maybe take it down a little bit and play around with that movement, explore, see what you're capable of, and try it out. That's why we call it play. Now next up, we have push. Push is what the majority of people out there consider the workout portion of the session. This is where you can get a good sweat going and you push yourself a little harder. Now you don't want to do this at the highest level possible. What you want to do is take it down a little bit. So let's say, for example, in terms of the push-up, that you can perform solid push-ups all the way down, all the way back up, and that's your high level. You won't want to do that during your push. You might even want to drop it down to your knees. You'll perform that for a certain period of time, making sure that you're focusing on form. For example, keeping your elbows in, making sure that you're pulling your shoulders down, that you're holding at the bottom position before you push back up. Again, the focus is on form, not simply cranking out reps. And we're going to be using a circuit for the push. And when you're performing this particular circuit, if you do happen to have a bit more in you and you want to perform 1 more round, great, go ahead and do that. Just remember to always perform the movements with quality form. Now finally we have ponder, and ponder is where after your session, you're going to think about how things went. What went well? What could you have done better? And what do you need to do for the next session to be successful? All right, let's take a look at each section in a bit more detail. So first off, we're going to take a look at the prep portion. Now, in this section, we'll be first focusing on the wrists. I suggest doing this on the floor rather than the P-bars. You start off with your wrists facing forward and go anywhere from 10 to 20 seconds. Make sure that these are nice and smooth, that you're pushing down and through the ground, and make sure that you're not going to a point where your wrists hurt. Now after that, you're going to turn your hands so that your fingers are facing to the outside and you'll be going back and forth. Same thing, 10 to 15 seconds, 20 seconds, even longer if you feel that you need a bit more time in prepping your wrists for your P-bar session. Now, the next wrist movement will be where you'll turn your hands over so that you're on the back of your hands. This can be quite painful in the beginning. Go easy with it and make the movements very small in the beginning. You'll notice that you won't have quite the range of motion that you did in the previous wrist exercises. Next up, we have shoulder shrugs. Think of pushing your back up towards the ceiling as high as possible, rounding your back, pushing down and through the P-bars, down and away from them, and then dropping your chest towards the P-bars, think of pulling your shoulder blades together as you drop your chest towards the P-bars. Be sure to keep your arms straight. The focus should be on just opening up the shoulder blades and then closing shoulder blades as you perform these shoulder shrugs. Finally, we're gonna use what we could maybe consider the modified prayer pose, going up into an upward facing dog. Make sure that you're going at your own level. You'll notice that I'm rounding my back as I go from that modified prayer pose to the upward facing dog. Keeping my arms straight, I also make sure that I'm breathing throughout the movement. For a practice session, I'm going to ask you to pick two movements, a straight arm movement and a bent arm movement. In this case, I suggest using the handstand for your straight arm movement, and then maybe even using the side to side push up for your bent arm movement. Now, remember, just because I say handstand doesn't mean that you have to have the full handstand. It can just be a matter of keeping your feet on the ground and straightening your arms and trying to load yourself up over your arms. So again, if you can't kick up into a handstand, if you're scared of doing the handstand, hey, no big deal. I want you to work at a level that's good for you. Similarly with the push-up, if side-to-side push-ups are way too hard for you, no problem. Work at a level that's good for you when you're practicing these movements. This is your opportunity to learn a new movement. So remember, it's not a matter of simply cranking out the movements. It's looking at learning that movement, getting it down so that you're going to be able to further progress through the levels of that particular movement. Once again, I suggest taking a handstand variant as well as a push-up variant. For the play portion of our session, we're going to be looking at jump throughs. Now, the cool thing with this is you're exploring this. So if you do feel comfortable at one level, feel free to try the other ones. That's what it's about. And in this case, the focus should just be on going from the back of the P-bars to the front, then the front to the back, using whatever variation you feel comfortable with, and maybe even trying a more difficult variation that you've never done before. All right, we've come to the push portion of this session. We're going to use a circuit. And so the circuit that we're going to be using is you're going to be looking at the inverted press. You're going to perform that 30 to 45 seconds. So a nice quality form when performing the inverted press, making sure that you're going slow, that you're breathing through the movement, doing that for 30 to 45 seconds. You'll immediately go into the next movement, which is the L-sit hold. Now remember, work at a level that's going to allow you to do that with quality form for 30 to 45 seconds. So for example, if you start off at the hardest possible level for you, you can only do it 10 seconds, you're not really doing yourself justice. So what you'll want to do is take that down 1, 2, maybe even to the first level so that you can work on holding that for 30 to 45 seconds in order to build the strength so that you're eventually moving towards the higher levels down the road. So after the L-sit hold, you're going to move to the dip to the push-up. Okay, so what this is you're going to be looking at using the jump through. Until you'll start off doing a dip. You'll do one dip, you'll jump back into a plank, and then perform a push-up at your level. So for example, it might be that you start off with your dip and you get that, and you maybe do that at the most difficult level that I've shown you here. But you're still having trouble with your jump through, so you walk your feet back, and then for the push-up, maybe you perform a push-up on your knees. Okay, so you're able to make adjustments within this movement that allows you to perform 30 to 45 seconds worth of quality movement. Finally, we have the plank hold. So you'll finish up in performing a plank hold. Now remember, a plank hold could be at the front of the P-bars, it could be at the back, it could be leaning forward, you could even do a planche hold if you're strong enough for 30 to 45 seconds. So once again, each movement's 30 to 45 seconds. You'll first start off with the inverted press, so go into the L-sit hold variant, then you'll go dip to push up via the jump through, and you'll finish off with a plank hold. Look at doing this for 2 rounds minimum. Now the last section is ponder. How'd you do? What did you learn? Really, that's the most important thing here. What went on in each movement? How well did you perform it? What do you need work on? Did you enjoy the workout? What are some things maybe that you can modify in order to help make it better for yourself? Lots of things that you can think about when you're doing the pondering section. And I just want to remind you that when going through this session, focus on the amount of time that you can spend for each section. Doesn't have to be 30 minutes, it doesn't have to be 45, it doesn't have to be an hour, it's up to you. What kind of time do you have? If you only have a little bit of time to spend on each section, that's perfectly fine. Maybe today you don't have the amount of time to spend in the play section. That's cool. Maybe next time you can spend more time doing that. Use this session to fit your lifestyle, okay? Enjoy it. Let us know how you do.